People were asking me, what's Camp Mac, and I told them it's probably the greatest place on earth.
It's kind of that magical thing. It's kind of like when you go over the hill to camp and you get butterflies and you don't know why it happens. It just happens, but you do know why it happens.
It feels like you're in a fairy tale because you're surrounded by all of this nature and all this beauty.
First time I came to camp, I was actually nervous, and I remember my mom telling me, you don't need to be nervous. Camp is what you make it. It's there for you to experience. Everyone has the same opportunities, and what you choose to do with them is entirely on you.
I got nerves in my stomach walking out. I didn't know what to expect, like set up my bunk, see all these people I've never met before, but they were all so nice and welcoming.
There's only so much justice that words can do to describe. That feeling when you're actually driving down that road and the anticipation of what is going to happen your first year.
When you go over the hill, what you begin doing is leaving gradually the stuff of home, the stuff of school, the stuff of your friends, the stuff.
I remember being nervous about meeting all my bunkmates and my counselors, and I remember thinking that was the silliest feeling in the world after the first day, after really hitting the ground and getting into the program.
My grandfather, Mr. Mack as he was called, was the superintendent of Talladega County Schools, and he founded Camp Mack in 1948 because of his deep belief that children needed opportunities for learning and growth that could not be offered in the classroom.
There are things that you learn at summer camp that you just can't teach in a regular 8 to 3:15 schedule. It's important because it's almost an avenue of a secondary education. Camp is unique in what you learn because it's more about learning about yourself than it is about taking a test. The real test is you figuring out who you are, and there's no wrong answer.
Dad and I used to kid about the fact that when camp started, all the kids had to have to play with was 2 sticks and a rock. Now there are a multitude of activities that children participate in.
Things I can't do at home that I can do at camp is horseback riding, skiing, arts and crafts, riflery, and a lot more.
We do more before lunch than most people do their entire summer.
There's a lot that you can actually do at camp. There is activities for everyone, every kind of person.
I do enjoy skiing at camp, and I can't do that at home.
Horseback is my favorite activity. It's always been my favorite activity. I absolutely love riding horses, barrel racing, cow soccer.
I always felt like I was a little bit better at long fancy activities. I wasn't really into riflery until the past 4 years, and I got kind of good at it. That's definitely probably my favorite activity besides horseback.
At horseback, there is so much that they do. It's not just like walking in a circle. You go from trotting one day to learning how to lope the next day, and then you're trail riding before you know it, or doing barrel racing.
Team sports was fun because it's hard to get like an entire team of kids at home.
Wilderness skills is also really fun. I passed off expert, which was one of my biggest accomplishments at camps.
The activities of camp serve as the inroad to an experience, and it is that experience that creates meaning in your life. You don't recognize it or you don't really know it as you're moving through it, but the opportunities there are about perseverance, about leadership, about followership, about independence, about integrity, loyalty, tapping into things that you didn't know were there about yourself and finding them.
My view used to say that you get out of camp what you put into it. And the more you put into camp, the more you're going to get out of it.
All these experiences that lead up to being like my favorite Camp Mac memories are things that I worked for. Whether it be working to go on the rappelling trip because I learned all the knots and I learned how to rappel, or getting to be the best shooter I could be at riflery so I could compete in the Camp Mac rifle match to have the opportunity to shoot and win the top shot award. I didn't. I lost by a half point 3 years in a row, but the one that always sticks out was trying and trying and trying for over 2 entire summers to pass off the 360 on trick skis, and then finally getting it. That feeling of when you start to turn around, you get the handle in your hands, and then you work your way back around. The whole time you're thinking, this is where I fell 60 times in a row without making any further progress, and then making it all the way around and get both hands back on the handle, and you're pulling straight behind the boat. There's this pause where you realize I did it. I actually did it, and it's quiet and all you hear is the water splashing against your skis and the boat motor, and no one has started cheering yet, and it's just this little moment you have entirely to yourself where you're just like, I did this. And that is my favorite Camp Mac memory.
It's not so much that you're going to need the opportunity when you grow up and go out in the world that you're going to need to be able to rappel, or that you need to be able to ride a horse or do a 360 on trick skis. But what I see happen over and over again is when kids are placed in situations where they're not sure they can succeed, it's their nature, it's our nature to maybe back off and just not try because, my God, we might fail. And if we fail, that's going to be a bad thing. What I've watched happen is that when kids try to do things for the first time and they can't do it, and they get back up and they try again, they learn that they actually can do something. They walk taller, they stand taller, they have a sense of self-confidence.
Follow our kids around and want to do everything for them and share every experience with them. It's sort of like we're giving them a message, I don't really think you can do it. But when you send them off to go do it by yourself, you're giving them the nod, I know you got this, girl.
The first time I took fishing and I caught my first fish, the counselor doing it made me kiss it. And I thought that was so gross, like I've never fished in my life, but I ended up doing it and I have a picture of it still. It just pushes you out of your comfort zone and challenges you to just, who cares, just do it. It's fun.
The relationship you make with a camper when they're stepping out of their comfort zone and trying something new for the first time means so much more to me than passing off expert skier. It's these connections that you make with each other, knowing that you got to be a part of someone's experience that helped them grow as a person.
I personally love cheering on younger campers because I remember that when I did something, when I was that age, to get up on calls on 6 o'clock news, it felt really good.
At camp, everyone's on your side, everyone's rooting for you. They're all encouraging, no one's bringing you down.
6 o'clock news is that time of day where everyone gets to come together and reflect on the day's activities and the achievements of others. And that's what I really love about Camp Mac. It's not only celebrating what did I do, but it's what did we do collectively as a group. And it's fantastic.
Mr. Mac started camp, but my grandmother, who was known as Mrs. Mac, started Vespers. She started it in 1948, and it's been run the same ever since. I think the basis in her mind about why are we having Vespers, why are we doing it at the end of the day, why do we have a special area to have it in the theater, probably stems from the fact that her favorite Bible verse was, "Be still and know that I am God." Vesper's is in a quiet place. It gives children a chance to be still for the first time all day. She saved a lot of the Vespers that she did and that other people did. This past summer, we did our best to duplicate that process. We were able to go back and refer to a number of the topics that Ms. Mack had Vespers on. Obviously, the times have changed in the 40s and 50s and 60s, so Vespers weren't identical, but a lot of the topics were the same. And the things that we talk about in Vespers are the things that we can all come together and agree on. Things like courage, things like getting back up when you fall, things like being friends, being a friend for someone, working hard, doing your part, supporting one another. The kind of things that all of us ought to do, and the kind of things that were just as appropriate in 1948 as they are today.
I was in B3 and it was my 2-week term. Bill McGee was my senior counselor. And I've never danced before, but it was my first record. And Bill somehow knew that about all the boys in Calvary. And I remember Bill getting in the middle of the aisle between bunks and showing us how to dance. And we were laughing and hitting each other and throwing each other against the cots at that time. So it was time for rec hall. We showed up, we had that confidence of we're not going to be total idiots out here. And that's camp. It's the experience of doing something that you don't know how to do, taking a risk of doing it, and measuring some level of accomplishment and feeling proud. And that night, I was a proud tiny dancer.
When I first started camp, I hated rec hall. I hated dancing with girls. I just did not like that. But over time, I got used to it. I liked it. And so first year at camp, I didn't dance at a single rec hall. I was very awkward. And then I slowly started opening up and dancing. And then my last 3 years, I haven't missed a single song at rec hall.
It is sort of strange sending your child off for 3 or 4 weeks. However, once you hear their stories and see how it has changed them, yeah, it's a little bit of a sacrifice. Yeah, it's a little quiet at home, but it's a gift you're giving them to develop their personality deeper in a different way than you can do here at home.
Everyone gets something different out of camp, whether it be the experience and the ability to learn how to ride a horse, or be able to go on the rappelling trip because you learned how to rappel and tie all your knots and pass the test. But for me, I think the biggest thing that's helped shape who I am is the intangible side of camp. You really get to be yourself, and it's a strange thing to say, but you feel more like yourself in those 4 weeks than you do the other 48 weeks out of the year.
The most common statement that I've heard from people who have been to camp is that I like myself better when I'm at camp than anywhere else.
A few things that I've really gotten out of camp are feeling a lot more comfortable with who I am as a person, feeling not as worried about what other people think about me because I get to find out about myself and enjoy myself at Camp Matt.
That ability to learn who you are as a person and grow as a person through the independence that you have here at camp and making friendships and the connections that you make along the way through all just the fantastic and wonderful people that all have very different backgrounds and upbringings than you do really helps you to have a greater view on like how people work together, and that kind of as a whole is what I got out of camp.
I think camp brings out an aspect of positivity. It lets people be who they are, and I think they feel better about who they are when they're here. From parents, what I've heard is that their child seems grown up when they come back. They've noticed that they've matured. They notice that they are more responsible.
My mom always said that the biggest thing that she got out of camp wasn't the pictures on the webpage and seeing us have fun, but was when we got home and how we were a more confident and a more well-rounded person.
My friends try to tell me, like, this happened, I'm like, yeah, whatever, I climbed down a mountain. Like, I had so much fun.
Can you tell me every single activity you have done at camp in the last 12 days?
Wet willy, swimming, free swim, tramp,
individual sports, arts and crafts, tennis, and there is.
I said, hey, Cam back. It's really, really nice to meet you. If it's okay, I think I'll stay, 'cause I just want to have some fun. Tammy's up, just chilling on the lakeside. Horseback, just heading out the bridge run. Hey, Cam back. It's really, really nice to meet you.
Canoeing. Wait, is it time to go? Campfire, bonfires, horseback, rec hall, league games, and then there's league games, team sports, cabin time, electives, rest period, and rest period.
Somebody kiss some more. These gnats are a little extreme. I got my harness tied up and I'm ready to repel. Ain't worried about a thing. When the sun goes down and we all line up and see my name written across a star. No matter where we go, this camp will have my heart. You already have me at
Riflery, and there's lunch, breakfast, dinner, aqua tramp, waterfront, skiing, summit, and there's free time. I already did it. What is she doing?
I said, hey, Camp back. It's really, really nice to meet you. If it's okay, I think I'll stay, 'cause I just want to have some fun. The pontoon just ran out of gas. We jumped in and tried to pull it back. Hey, Camp back. It's really, really nice to meet you.
Individual sports, canteen,
Beach ball?
beach ball, tether ball, bombardment, gym, arcade, ping pong, kickball. Yeah, kickball, soccer, Newcomb, blinds, Newcomb.
We've been here a few years. Summer without it is unreal. It's not gonna be easy, but there's no place that I'd rather be.
Capture the chicken. Yeah, capture the chicken.
Everything you've done at camp.
The Darth Vader. Where's that? Carnival night. Yeah, carnival night. Party night. We're having party night. Party night. And then there's free swim. And pool party. Period. Swimming. And pool party. Oh yeah.
I said, hey, Camp back. It's really, really nice to meet you. If it's okay, I think I'll stay, 'cause I just want to have some fun. That's why Tom gets ready for a horse night. Candles lit and singing our goodbyes. Hey, Camp back. It's really, really nice to meet you.
It was so much fun.
Camp is like awesome. It's like bigger than Christmas. Like my mom said, I was so excited like the night before I couldn't sleep.
When I first got to camp, I was kind of nervous, but I was only staying for 2 weeks, so I knew that I'd see my parents eventually. But then once they came to pick me up, the first question I asked was if I could stay for the next month.